The vehicle we're working on today is a 1974 Chevy K20. That means it is a 3/4 ton long bed 4x4. This thing was seen in a couple of episodes of Dirt Every Day, which means it was built by Dave Chappelle and Fred Williams. After it was used in those shows, it went to the infamous MotorTrend storage and it sat outside and it was sort of neglected. It was there for a couple of years, sitting on a half-flat tire, and in its heyday, Dirt Every Day did 2 episodes with it. The first one, they just bought the thing stone stock and took it on the Rubicon Trail, which, as you may know, is sort of a medium difficult rock crawling trail, the type of thing you don't want to do with a stock full-size truck, which means they bashed this thing so hard. I had a hard time watching it because they just caved in the bed and the door and just wrecked the thing. But then they came back in a second episode and hopped it up a lot. They focused on getting some 40-inch tires on the thing. These are Cooper 40 by 1350 17s. And to do that, they installed all off-road design suspension. That's a company that specializes in these square body trucks. So it's got shackle flip in the back and shackles in the front and leaf springs on it. The transmission is a SM465, which is a granny low 4-speed. They had that rebuilt. It's one of my favorite things about the truck. I love the stick in a 4x4. Then it's got the super trick off-road design transfer case doubler. It's the front half of a chain-driven NP203 transfer case coupled with the truck's stock NP205 gear drive transfer case. And the reason for that is you can choose 1 transfer case or 2 when you're going in low range. And so you've got twice the number of gears. So you can make it crawl, or theoretically, you can make the thing blast. It looked really cool on the episodes. I saw the capability. I had dreams of taking the thing 4-wheeling myself. And to be honest, this all started because I thought I might want to buy the truck. So Steve and I are gonna wrench on it and find out, do I love it or do I list it? I think I love it, but I'm just not sure.
I think I'm falling in love with it because it's a big Chevy pickup.
So here's my plan.
Okay, let's hear it.
Ultimately, I just want to drive the thing around, maybe off-road it, bash it, and find out if it's everything that I think it is.
And more?
But first, we have to make it run and drive. I know a couple things that are wrong with it. First of all, they chucked 2 drive shafts out of it, and so we need to get a rear drive shaft. I already ordered one last week.
Okay, easy.
And I know they told me it wouldn't start.
Come on, pop the hood, Freiburger.
Ooh, it's got the Holly off-road carburetor on it. Does it have a battery? Oh, there's no battery in it. That's why. No battery. Okay, Steve, go for it. What?
I'm getting minimal activity here.
Oh, this is weird. When you turn the key, the ground cable moves. Never seen that before. It has like a mini starter on it. Should I smack it?
Sure.
That needs a starter.
Yeah.
That's junk.
How do you say basura in Espanol?
It's basura. In with the new. The application for the mini starter is 91 Chevy truck. Smaller, lighter than the old style. Okay, Steve, give it a shot.
Clutch in and...
Yes. There's no fuel in the filter yet. It's probably out of gas, but I'm gonna ether it to see if we can make it run, to see if we can make the mechanical fuel pump pick up. The choke is completely shut, and it probably won't start that way because of the air restrictions, so I'm gonna shove that wrench right there to hold it open. Open the throttle, Steve. Okay, try it. Ooh, that was pingy, but it did pick up fuel. All right, let me grab the drive shaft, then we can drive it. Go. One of the things that you gotta worry about if a drive shaft is broken on the trail is whether the yoke is damaged. They can actually get stretched out this way or that way. And the other thing is that the little nubs on the side that hold the U-joint side to side can be gacked, just like this one is right here. I'm actually gonna have to file that. That's really bad. That's why drive shafts are falling out. This really needs a yoke. Maybe we can roadkill it. Once again, our life was saved by Mike at Driveline Services in Fresno, California. That one has really good nubs on it. This one,
Oh, no.
Yep.
Really?
I just dropped the cap in the dirt. Looks like I got away with it. You don't want all the needle bearings whacked out of space, or you don't want dirt in there. Test drive dibs.
Oh, You can have it. I want you to drive it, David.
I want to drive it.
I'd like to drive it too, but I will give you the honors.
It needs less ignition timing, we know that. Whoa.
Man, it's got a wobbly suspension. Why does it feel like that?
It's got no power steering.
Oh, no. Back to the old drawing board, as they say.
Here's what just happened. Hopped in, tried to make it drive. We had to figure out the transfer case shifters. Remember, there's 2 transfer cases, 3 sticks. So we messed around with that a little bit, but then it has no power steering at all. And with these tires, that means you basically can't drive it. Power steering system was completely empty, so it must have a leak. All right, firing it up.
Try it.
Starting to work. Feels good.
Wow.
The problem here is that power ram, which is just a hydraulic cylinder to aid in steering assist, it is just puking fluid out of the seal where the ram goes in and out. And that's probably not gonna change. Okay.
How's the steering?
Fine.
How come this feels a little wallering?
The front locker is locked, and I think the hubs are locked in place. Oh, the tires are all flat spotted.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pinging like mad.
Well, you could tell it was over advanced when we were cranking it.
Yeah.
Plus that gasoline, and it's 3 years old.
That too. We can make this way better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's pinging. It's rattling bad.
Give some gas. That wasn't detonation, that's an exhaust.
That is 100% detonation.
Oh.
No question in my mind.
Maybe we better go back and adjust the timing.
I wonder if those guys set the timing with the vacuum advance on.
Probably.
Yeah, let's go back and fix that. Okay, it's marked. Okay, stop.
I think it was over advanced, though.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, try it. Stop. It's got 24 initial and 35 total. It just has very little swing in the distributor. It'll work okay at wide open. We can mess with it when we take it apart.
We've got the timing set as well as we can, given what we have to work with. It can probably be optimized further, but for what our purposes are now, I think it's going to be good enough.
We're driving along and the engine is running so much better. It's actually great. But then the truck starts to shake really bad. And sure enough, I called it. Those little tangs that are on the yoke on the rear end that need to retain the U-joint, they were too far gone. Look, I spit out an entire U-joint cup. Don't you hate it when you know something's gonna go wrong? You ignore it in the roadkill hope that it's gonna be okay, and it bites you anyway. So we're gonna have to go back home and fix that. Bummer. We made it run great, but there's a couple of really obvious things we gotta deal with. You wanna pull the drive shaft? I'll start messing around with the steering disaster.
It is a disaster at that.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna plug the box, get rid of the ram. Steve's working on pulling out that bad drive shaft. I'm starting to deal with the massive power steering fluid leak from the power ram that's here on the axle. I always battle these when I use that power ram. I think what I'm gonna do is abandon that, pull these lines off, and just put caps at the power steering box and not run the ram, just have regular power steering just for now.
15. I did that without anyone spotting me. I was gonna go and take the broken U-joint out of the drive shaft, but the yoke here is pretty beat up from hammering against the rear end, so it's gonna have to go back to the drive shop for a new yoke because this is not gonna be fixable otherwise.
Here's the next problem that we have. You can see that this unlocking hub just spins freely in here. What the unlocking hub is supposed to do is engage or disengage the outer axle stub from the hub so that it's either driving the wheel or not, so that you can put it in four-wheel drive. I think it might just be connected. I'm not sure. No, it's not. You can hear the locker going. It might be locked because with the locker, you can turn a wheel faster than the ring gear, but not slower than the ring gear. I would know if I was looking at the axle shaft in there, but I'm not. Anyway, I'm gonna take this apart and see what's going on. That was loose. That one was not tight. Wow, that one was falling out. That one's missing. Okay, this is a Yukon hub, which I've never messed with before. Aha, this is bad. See this clip right here? That clip is supposed to be on the end of the axle stub right there. I've got the hub all apart, and I was telling you how it engages and disengages, so I'm gonna show you how that works. This piece right here has internal splines that match with the splines on the end of the axle shaft right there. That axle's getting power from the differential. Then you've got this gear that has OD splines that mesh with these in the hub. And what happens is these go together, and you can see that right now they will turn separately. But when you engage it like that, then now they turn together. The problem is the doohickey that actually engages and disengages these two, well, part of it is the spring, but part of it is a piece that goes in here on the turning knob. See that cam or ramp shape right there? There's a piece that goes on that acts on those gears to push them in and out. And that piece is completely missing. Those guys decided to put it together just in a full locked position. So that's my problem right there. I'd really like to have it locking and unlocking for streetability so that it drives better with the Detroit locker in the front being disconnected when you're in two-wheel drive. So my choices are buy new hubs that are cheaper just at the parts store and know that they're nowhere near as strong, or get the parts to put the Yukon in like with the disengaging doohickey, or just reassemble it the way it was. And the thing is, these Yukon hubs are really strong. They're also 600 bucks. So I don't know what we're gonna do yet. And unfortunately, it's 7 p.m. right now, and I'm not gonna be able to get any of those parts. And so I think we're gonna call it for the evening and come back tomorrow and figure out how to fix this junk. We're dealing with the front steering. I need a couple caps to solve that problem.
Right.
We're dealing with the hubs. I need parts to solve the hubs. And then I stupidly destroyed our brand new drive shaft, and that's out at the shop. But the one thing that we can do right now is install a new yoke on the rear end to fix the problem that broke the drive shaft. That's what we're getting into now, and then as parts show up, we'll be able to keep putting this thing back together, but we're gonna go on to that rear end yoke. Now I have to remove the yoke off the rear end because it's what's causing the drive shaft to frag. You just have to take this locking nut off the center of the pinion stem, and then if that comes off easily, I have to find out if the yoke will come off, and then we'll put a new one on, and there's some tricks to show you there that are not fully intuitive, so wait for it. How much of a battle will this be? Here's a tip about this. You don't want to like rattle it with the gun and have the pinion smashing itself on the ring gear or in the locker slack or anything like that. This doesn't seem to have that problem. All right, now, will the yoke come off? We're gonna have to use a puller, that's butch. Steve came up with this, which is gonna be way better. That's a bam.
It all came down to using the proper tool.
Yep, proper tool, made it happen.
What I have here is the old yoke, and the problem is the locating tabs on either end are completely worn out and broken. We are going to replace it with this one, which you can see has a very, very heavy-duty locating stop on either side. I'm gonna prep this out and then get busy installing it. I'm gonna use red Loctite on the pinion nut. Before I do that, I'm gonna clean this with brake clean. This is a step guys usually don't follow, but I can tell you this. You're not going to glue two pieces of metal together when you've got a greasy surface, no matter how much Loctite you put on. It has to be clean and dry for Loctite to work at all. So that's going to be your super tech tip of the day. Now this should slide right. There we go. The nut. I've got that impacted on to the exact specification I was after. I'm gonna move on to putting the drive shaft back in because that's finished.
Steve is finishing up the drive shaft, and I am back on the hub situation. I talked to my guys last night and found out that we had somebody who was trailering this truck around who was not directly involved with any of our shows, and imagine this. They couldn't steer it, and they thought it was because the hubs were locked up, and so they took them apart and pulled some parts out of it, put it back together, assuming that that was going to unlock it, which it didn't, and then the parts got lost. And so that explains that. Remember, I told you that my options here were going to be fix the old ones, put them back together the way they were, or install new hubs so that we can unlock them. Well, that's exactly what I am going to do. Steve talked me into the fact that we really wanted to see how much better the truck can drive if we've got the front end unlocked. And so I got some new Warn hubs from the local parts store. And I will say they are not even the Warn premium hubs. They're aluminum, they are light duty, and not really meant for this application with a giant tire on it. But we're gonna install them so that we can see how it drives with them unlocked, and then we'll lock them and blast around in the mud and hopefully not break them. And if we do, we still have the old Yukon units left over. So let me just slam this together. It's actually really easy. The tang.
Drive shaft's done.
While Steve's not here, I'm gonna reveal to you that one of my goals here is to show Steve that this can actually be okay on the street. When we were out doing the test drive of it, he was honestly kind of freaking out because it handles like pretty bad. It seems to have a lot of bump steer. He is not used to like a hardcore off-road rig. He's not used to lockers, soft suspension, any of that stuff. And one of the big problems it had was the lockers, and the other big problem was the problem with that steering doohickey, and of course the hubs. But the other thing is it only had 5 PSI in the tires. Now that's totally normal for like hardcore rock crawling, but Steve is just not used to how that feels. And so while he's not here, I'm gonna go ahead and put 25 pounds in the tires, and combined with everything else, I hope it drives pretty good. We made it to Hungry Valley's four-wheel drive training area here, which is pretty cool. There's a stair-step block, there's a frame twister, there's a rock crawling course where all the boulders are in concrete so they don't move. They just added a massive rock pile. There's like big sewer pipes buried in the ground. It's gonna be cool.
It's kind of like an amusement park for your giant Chevy pickup.
That's it.
Right.
I think the first thing that I want to do is go in the frame twister and pull it up there and get maximum articulation, and I want to park it and get out and like...
See how twisted our frame is?
The frame, and also our brake lines stretched, or the shocks topped out, stuff hitting each other, all that stuff.
Oh, technical.
I'm gonna air down first though.
All right.
If you're new to off-roading, you might not understand the whole picture here. So I'm gonna explain it to you. Mostly it's for traction, but the big thing for me is ride quality. When you're off-road in bumps and rocks and stuff, if you make a softer tire, it just rides so much better. But it's also really good for traction in two different ways. First of all, these outer lugs might not even be touching the ground when it's at full pressure, whereas they will be when it's soft. So it helps the tire get wider and contact more. But also, it makes a longer contact patch, so that's more traction. Think of it, if you're driving in sand, you want a big contact patch. It's like the difference between walking in snow in a sneaker versus a snowshoe. The bigger patch prevents you from falling through. All right, so I'm gonna take this thing down to 13, and then we're gonna go hit that frame twister. The fast way to do this is to pull the stem out. I don't have a stem puller, so I'm doing this. There's a spot about halfway up where I think we can get it really twisted, and then get out and look. I'm gonna twist it as much as I can.
Well, so far it seems like a cakewalk for this truck.
Well, it's a long wheelbase. It has that in its favor.
Yeah.
But I think right up here, it's gonna stuff tires, like right here, right? Oh man, that doesn't even feel like anything.
Doesn't do anything to this truck.
Does not care, does it?
Oh, you conked it out.
I did conk it out. Yeah. There we go. That's got a little stuff to it right there.
Really?
Oh, and yeah, that's about max. Ready to have a look?
Parking brake doesn't work?
No.
I'll be sure not to get behind the truck.
No, I wouldn't do that. Oh, wow. The door doesn't want to open because the fender's flexed. What I'm doing here is just looking at the suspension at full articulation for any problem areas. I want to see if brake lines are stretched, drive shafts are falling apart, shackles are hitting, shocks are too long or too short, all kinds of stuff like that. The wildest thing I've seen yet is that left rear leaf spring is in an S shape, just completely folded, which is cool. Here's the other thing that is part of the articulation on this truck is the bed and cab are completely torqued, not only this way, but also this way. The gap over there is way bigger than the gap here. Just the frame flex is huge on a long bed truck like this. All right, before we go for actual rock crawling, we're gonna go to the sewer pipes.
The sewer pipes, it sounds filthy. Yeah, this truck's barely wide enough for it.
Is it?
Uh-oh, that's not good.
I wonder if it'll high center in the middle of that.
I don't know. You want me to get out of the spot?
Do you want to?
Considering it. You've got a diff rock. That sounds remarkably like a bunch of seals. You might have to bounce it by going backwards and then dart forward.
There's no bouncing it backwards.
Why not?
Wow, impressive. You were right.
Well, of course I was right. I'm the spotter.
I should never question the Dulcich.
From here, it's a layup from here. He's done. Wow.
This truck's great. Might as well finish this out. Okay, a couple hairy moments there, but overall I feel really good. You impressed me on the backing up over the rock. I thought it was dug under, like if here's the rock, I thought the diff was down. I didn't think it would go up and over it.
It was good. You know, I was the spotter, Freiburger. I had to do the job.
You ready for what very well could be our final feat?
Yes.
Sewer pipes are one thing, but this is more.
This is rock crawling.
Sort of legit. Wow, I'm driving from memory here because I cannot see anything.
You're doing a great job, David.
Thanks.
You've gotten way further than I. Oh, I heard the back end slide.
Uh-huh. Now that we're there, I want to go look and see what's happening. Well, I went rock crawling for my first time in, I don't know, multiple decades, and it was doing pretty well, and I loved the truck, but I think I ran out of talent here, so I'm gonna have to build a highway, and hopefully we can even get out of this spot, because once we do, it's even worse up ahead.
I just don't know how we're gonna get out of here.
Now, if only soap could unstick us from a massive rock problem, there is no try.
I like the attitude, David, and I feel success.
We're on something hard now.
Yeah, your tires just freewheeling.
Here's my play. The rock that's under the front diff is gonna get cleared when the tire rolls up on that rock that I placed right behind it. In the back, it's a pretty bad stuck, but I'm gonna have Mason in our production truck just put a little pressure on the back end. He's not gonna jerk it. He's just gonna keep a load on it so that the diff gets up and over the rock and away from the drive shaft in the back.
Kung Fu grip me, man.
I want to go find another obstacle and win. Driver swap.
All right.
It's your turn. You're gonna like,
We're waiting.
Show me how it's done. Okay, now this way. Crawl it, crawl it. Okay, come driver a little. No, driver. There you go. Come driver. You're good. You have to crawl it. There you go. Okay. Now stop. Okay, you're good. Crawl it. There you go. You're home free.
I got it now.
You are a rock crawler, Steve Dulcich.